How to create a Sudoku solver using Visual Basic 2010. This video is intended to demonstrate how to use a backtracking algorithm to solve a Sudoku puzzle. It is not really a lesson on using Visual Basic per se. It's just that Visual Basic has been chosen as a platform to use as it is quite straightforward to create a Windows application on. While knowledge of Visual Basic is not necessary, the understanding of programming in general is. If you do not have any sort of coding knowledge, then it would probably be advisable to read the beginner's programming tutorial first. Then understanding of object-oriented programming is also advisable. The video is in 3 parts: creating the interface or game shell, coding functionality, and using the backtracking algorithm to solve the puzzle. Part 1. Building the interface. In Part 1 we shall create the empty game shell or interface. We shall create all necessary controls, and we shall format and position them. Let's slip the bonds of this mundane reality, as we step forth into a world of our own making. Let us create, let us be gods, let us program. Open Visual Basic, and select New Project. Now select a Windows Forms application. Our project starts life with an empty form. We'll just alter the text property down here in the Properties section to Sudoku Solver. Now go to the toolbox and drag 2 buttons onto the form. With button 1 selected, go to the Properties section and set the text property to Clear. Now scroll up and change the name property to Button Clear. Now select button 2, go back to the Properties section, and change the name property to Button Solve. Scroll down to the text property, and change it to Solve. That's all we will be doing in design mode. Everything else will be manually coded. In the Solution Explorer, click the View Code button. Create a new class called Sudoku Text Box, derived from the Text Box class. Create a 2-dimensional array called Cell, with 9 elements per dimension, as a Sudoku text box. From the left-hand drop box, select Form 1 Events. Click the right-hand drop box and scroll down and select Load. Now create the nested loop so that we can index the array. For each element in the cell array, create a new Sudoku text box object. Populate with an empty string. Set the width to 20 pixels. The same with the height. We'll use the X and Y variables to position the text boxes. Add each text box as a control to the form object. Come out of the Load sub, and create a new sub called Cell Changed. Add a handler for each text box to call the Cell Changed sub whenever text is changed. Run the program. OK, the single grid needs breaking up into 9 3x3 smaller grids. The text in the text boxes is left justified, and would look better centered. And the text boxes should only allow a single character input. Let's start to fix a couple of those problems now. Change the max length to 1 character. and the alignment to center justified. Run the program. Looks better. Now let's break up that grid. We will add 4 pixels to the position of every 4th, 5th, and 6th row. We will add 8 pixels to every 7th, 8th, and 9th row. The same with the columns. Run the program. That looks better. We just need to centralize the whole grid. Add 45 pixels to the X position, and 15 pixels to the Y position. Run the program. That looks much better. The only problem now is that the text boxes will allow input of non-digit characters and we want to limit them to only accept digits. Scroll up to the Sudoku text box class that we created earlier, and override the onKeyPress method. If the key that is pressed is a digit or space or backspace, then the event is set as handled, otherwise it's set as not handled. If the key that is pressed is a 0, or the space bar, then we want to change the key pressed to backspace. Run the program. Now only digits can be entered, and the 0 key acts as a backspace. Okay, that's the end of part 1. In part 2, we will add some functionality to the program.